All right, it is April 13th, which is a Wednesday, and we are reviewing NQ. You can see the Renko tick amount for each bar is here. So this is a 24. This one over here, you can't see, but is a 30 bar. You can see it up here, right there. 30 bar, or over here it says Renko 30T. Um, and then on the left are two smaller. This one's 20 here, and the really small one up in the top left corner is 16, and we probably will not really be looking at that because it's going to move so fast. There may be really slow periods in the day that we want to see what that was saying, but generally I'm reserving that for Globex when things are moving really slow. So what I usually first do is I come over here to the largest time frame I'm using, which right now is a 30 tick, and I want to review like what happened in the recent session before this is something I do before I start trading, right? So right in the morning, I go to sleep like I went to sleep last night late because we did one of these, but we took this trade. Oh, where's my little we we took the on the move up and then took I tried to get it down and I had a good entry and then I exited it because I got tired. So we traded this basically, but we want to look and see where we're coming from so it makes more sense where we are. I had marked this off last night as an area to get long on a dip. So like this is an example of that when you get an algo like a star or a green bar or green dot or some kind of signal saying that it could be bouncing. If it's happening in that location, I said we could get long here, and that did work. It worked here too. You can see we got a blue speed bar with the white star and a green dot and a seller exhaustion dash too. Like all of that hit right here. And that was based on this range here. And I probably could have extended this just a little bit higher and said it went up to like this point of control, this purple line here. And I'm basing that off of this green bar. And those green bars, they like to stop them out with price. See how that price got underneath it? But they couldn't establish any volume down there, so you get a bounce. And when it's really bullish, that's usually how those pullbacks work, is they find, especially one with a triangle, like you can use the triangle, it's kind of the same concept. The green bars hold more often, but you can do this with a triangle also, because it's another sign of aggression. So really, you could even do it with a star. So find an aggressive buyer, right? With one of the studies. Wait for price to return there, and then see if that aggressive buyer comes back in that same range. And like he might look different, right? Like this one was a green bar, and this one was a triangle. This one's a star. But what I'm basically pointing out is that this location becomes like ripe for a bounce. And so when you get a sign that someone's buying there, you can buy with them. But then what's interesting is that then we get another aggressive green bar here, and another one here, and another one. Actually, this one's just a green fill-in, which is a scalp. But look what happens when they take these out, this and this. They come underneath and they sweep this whole range. Whoops. They sweep that whole rectangle, right? They sweep it, and then what do they do? Generally, what they do is they come back and they backside test volume, right? So where is the volume in this move? So in a way, oh sorry, I lived near an Air Force base. If you can hear the fighter plane or whatever, the jet, I apologize. They're loud, and they fly right around now, right over my house. So yeah, you've got all the volume up here in this previous point of control, which is red. That's where all the volume was overnight. And so after we broke down underneath this established support from earlier that I pointed out, we bounced. They hit the volume, they established volume in here, rejected. And so most of us, like retailers, we're going to short this and then we're going to lose. Right? Because they're like, oh, it was bullish. Here's the lower high, right? From the higher high that was back here. Lower high. short. I even have a short signal, and it's fine to take that short. That's fine. But realize that they're going to come back and take you out. So you can't just move your stop to break even and expect to catch this. And you definitely can't short the breakdown and expect it just to like cascade lower. It's going to come back and try to get into this high volume area. And so if I had a volume profile up, you'd see it real clearly. But here I can just tell because we spent all this time here and we have all these aggressive buyers like pushing, right? Like I would buy that, right? And if you accumulate runners throughout here, what happens when those get broken? Hopefully they stop out. But if you don't stop them out and the market comes back and gives you an opportunity to get out at break even, you better believe most people will do that. So this becomes a short. This star on a red dot with a red candle, it becomes a short because of the location. But I'm not trying to teach you guys setups, but that right there is like actually like just as good as this short. This orange bar is a short, or the red triangle after it if you want to be conservative. Same thing here. You can short this or the red triangle after it if you want to be conservative. But the only reason that works is because we took out this support, not just with price like this, but with volume. We actually put we put volume in here, and then they tried to come up and they failed, which isn't a surprise. So that's what happened overnight, right? And then let's see. So this is pre-market. Here, let me get a new one. This is gonna help like to be a pretty long arrow. Comes into pre-market. Again, we're clearly rotating down. Let's see. This is just. Let me see if I can get rid of this rectangle because I made this today, and that's not going to make sense until the actual setups show themselves. So those were not there this morning. Is what I'm trying to say. The like this purple here, the light purple or whatever, is the voodoo range levels, and I guess that's dark purple, and then the bright pink dashed line is the midpoints. The pink thick lines are previous 10-minute VPOCs, and I can use those for targets. They also tend to set up signals like this. So yeah, so we came down, we traded back into this level, this 13,932, which was the voodoo range level. We have a little bit of absorption on that level. You see how the point of control rises, and I get a green now. I added this setup to my algo. My version of the algo is it'll now color these bars green, and that's the same thing, only inverse, that gave me this orange bar here. It's a sign of absorption above. So they absorbed up here, and I get a sell signal, and I can even take the retest if I get another algo like this. So same thing in reverse, and it's almost the exact same thing, you guys. Absorption, target, trigger, buy. If you miss that, or if you want to add on the retest, which is here. Why do they retest it? Well, first of all, it's a voodoo range level, so that makes sense. But second of all, the absorption was on relatively low volume. So they're going to come back and they're going to test it again. This one was a little bit better volume. You can see the accumulated volume down here on the waves. See how this one accumulated more volume on the downswing? So they caught more shorts. Caught more sellers in the hole here. And so at this point, if I'm trading, I wasn't awake yet, but if I'm trading here, I'm watching this orange line to tell me when I can start to be bullish and try to fight this. I can take this scalp, but I will not expect more than like a retracement here. And then I would take this short because it's orange, and I would expect it to come into here again, right? So I'm just scalping here. If I was trading, I wasn't. But since we're beyond the orange line down here, like I don't need to take this trade, and I shouldn't expect it to extend. So if I don't have great risk reward here I did. I had plenty of space back to resistance, so I could take it. But if this sets up like I guess here where you have resistance nearby, you might not want to take that one. But this did not get beyond the orange line. So now I can start to get in if I get a signal like a retest signal or another green candle or a star bar or something like that. I could get in and plan on holding runners. So so we get, let's see. So this is the open. You can see 8:30. It's central time for this algo. The open's here at that green vertical line. They right away put in a bullish, a buyer, a heavy buyer comes in here and gets like, what's it called? Like beat right away with speed, right? Yellow means speed. So we've got a speed bar down with a red candle. You can't see it because of the number. Sorry about that. But that's a red dot also and a yellow star. All signs of aggression to the downside. And like I said, in this, so far I'm just scalping and seeing that we have a constricting range, a contracting range, right? And so it kind of looks like a bear flag. So if that's the case, I could short and aim for down here. But the problem is that we just bounced outside of the orange 3x variance of VWAP line. So this is 3 times what VWAP is doing, -3. And when we like come back out of it and then reject it on the bounce, I'm expecting this to hold on the next drop. So shorting this is, especially at the open, it's like, it's valid, but it's pretty dangerous. You better be damn fast to get it here. But if you could put your stop here, it's not that bad, right? Let's say you're targeting this and your stop is here, you at least get 1-to-1. So it's not bad. So let's see if that works. Oops, wrong tool. So we can use the arrows for this. So it comes down and there, it hits the target, right? So that short works. Sorry, it got moved down a little bit. So what I said is scalp down to orange. Would I have taken that? Probably not, because it's the open. It's easy to see if it's like you got plenty of time to analyze it. But if we open here and seconds later we're printing this after like I'm not just like short because we're so close into the hole and we just got out of it. But if I did, I'd be covering here. I'd be taking profit, I should say, and not really expecting much more. So now this is not technically a buy signal yet, but it is interesting that we're right at the voodoo range. So you could scalp it back up, but we bounced off the 3x variance line. Makes a lot of sense that we bounce here. We just need a triangle to get long. There it is. Okay, so there's our first long of the day. Is this white triangle coming after a green candle at location. Similar to this here. And again, here we could have gotten an extension, so it's okay to take that. And it just might stop and have to try it again. That's okay. When these white triangles, when you get, okay, how can I explain this? When you're in sideways consolidation, right? So like this whole area is sideways, okay? If you look at one direction of triangles, so let's say up, so white triangles. Here's the first white triangle. They pull back. They don't stop it out, right? Price does not get behind this bar. When they put it, and then they put in a red triangle, when they put in the very next white triangle, that's a nice scalp because this one held. See that? Now here's the funny thing. When they get taken out, like this one gets stopped out, and then if they come back and they put in another red triangle that gets into this range, it can't be down here, but that's firing into this range like that. This one is a little bit, you had a signal to get short here a different way, but if I'm just using this technique, this is like a little bit dangerous because you might be shorting into support. But when you get this one, it traded above this one, like in essence stopped it out with price, and then came back below it and through it and gave me another triangle down. That's potentially a short. So same thing here. You've got white triangle. It gets taken out by price. So if I can get a white triangle, again, it's a little dangerous to take it back here, but if this white triangle can push up through this range, it can extend. So if you have good risk reward, you can take it early, just like you could have taken this, or if you have another signal. But technically, if it bounces again and gives us a white triangle a little higher, that's a better entry. So here we go. We might get it. So that says short, but we're in the hole, so I'm probably not taking it. And we're the stop for the white triangle bounce would be under this. So still potentially long. That's a good sign for longs. You got star and then a speed bar. And then there's our white triangle. So now we can look and say, was the previous triangle traded under? Yes. Does this white triangle share range with this white triangle? Yes. This is a prime entry. Anything in this range in the future, so I'm going to mark it right now. Anything in this range in the future, a pullback into this range, at least the first one should be bought. Okay, so we're going to mark that off. And if it pulls, you can buy it right now, or if it pulls back into that range, it's a buy. Okay, so it starts to go, it comes back. This is actually a short signal, but it's not very high odds because we're not at the edge. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Trying to grab this. So this is a short signal because it's star got taken out, come back with star. But we're so close to the edge that I'm usually skipping these. If I would have bought the triangle and I see this, I'm probably going to back off and try to get long a little lower. Like that would be a good spot because we're back into that gray box with a bullish algo. There's you can't see it, but that's a triangle back into the gray box. This is a prime entry again. Again, this is the box I drew on this white triangle. So anytime we get bullish signs in here, like a triangle or a speed bar or a star that's pointing up or a green bar, anything like that, we can buy it. Okay, we also are now bouncing far from the 3x VWAP line and again, still on the voodoo range level. So all signs that things could be turning higher. Just have to take out some resistance, which they do. Okay, that blue dot here is a divergent dot. It means that people shorted somewhere in that range. More people hit the bid than hit the offer. So what matters is what happens next. If we get a sudden pullback, that can be a reversal. If it pushes higher, it can actually be an add. Okay, so it pushes higher, but that's a pink bar, so I'm not adding on that. We need another white bar to add, like that. So you can buy this wick here. Again, this is how you trade. It's scary, right? I should make this very clear. Trend day up and open drive in general is scary. It's not easy for most of us to trade. Unless you're just being a degen and just buying it anywhere. If you want to buy it with controlled risk and not constantly get beat, it's not easy. And so our brains tend to look for the short because, look, we got all these red dots, we got all these triangles, we've got all these algos over here saying that they could produce resistance, right? So most of us, naturally, because our brains avoid things that are scary, and not scary, but they are threats to us. And the idea of buying this here is threatening because we're not at the bottom, right? We're not down here. We're not down here. So all of a sudden when it gets here, does anybody want to buy? Probably not. Most of us who know anything about how markets work, we want to be shorting this. But we shouldn't. What the algo tells us we shouldn't. Sometimes we should. Like here, this one. We should. It says we should. This one is fine to short. This one's actually still okay to short. I didn't, and I wouldn't. It's a little too aggressive for me, but it's fine to short. This one, really aggressive. Still okay to short. This has no short signal anywhere. It's not okay to short this. And that's, I think, where people get stuck, is they're like, I've been having success shorting this zone over and over and over again. Why would I stop? And here's a pink bar. It's going to exhaust. Well, it might exhaust like it did here or here or here, right? It might exhaust. But sometimes, look what happens. They trade under it and just bounce, right? They just absorb. See the V in the yellow line? They absorb here, right? They absorbed here. They absorbed here. Not quite as obvious, but they did. We got absorption right on that orange line. So when you see, if you're using the algo, you can't guess what the next candle is going to be. You have to actually wait for it to form. So you can't just short because you're under the orange, what's it called? No supply, the no supply bar. In fact, you should probably be adding, because of the fact that you had sellers on this bar, yet they didn't follow it through. They didn't. So these guys are now trapped, in essence. These sellers, which I see are there because of the blue dot, right? Divergence, sellers down there, they are now trapped. So I don't know that until it starts to reverse. So I'm not going to get long here. But when it comes back through this pink bar, you can just long it. Even though you're longing into resistance, that's the one time when, if it's open drive like this, and the narrative makes sense, right? We've got all sorts of reasons to think that this area might act as support, and it does. So that's why I'm saying that this short, even though based on the algo, it's exactly the same as this into this if you didn't have the orange. And that obviously worked. This one, it just says to me, it's a little bit risky because you're so close to the bottom and you've already gotten a pretty significant bounce and a short signal that failed. This orange should have been a short and it failed. Well, when I see that, do I want to take the very next short? Probably not. Not if I have reason to think that we're going to bounce. So anyway, yeah, you can add there. And it's an advanced move and it's hard to do, but it works. Like that. Okay, first short signal since the open here. Now, I'm allowed to fight this now, okay? I couldn't fight it here. If I want to fade it now, I have to look and say, do I have risk reward? The answer to that is probably no. The answer to that is probably we're going to come back and we're going to bounce off this. So should I short it? Probably not. But can I? Yes. I do have permission by the system to short it. And usually I'm going to try to get it into the next pink bar, which is here or here. That would be my regular target. Or if I have a purple line, but usually you don't because you've just ripped through this. So you'd have to look at this line to the left. And again, that's putting you here. Your stop goes above it, above the bar at 15, and your target goes down here. So we'll see. And there we go. It works, right? I'm allowed to short it. It works. I'm allowed to short it because it works a lot. Okay, it does hit the target, which is, like I said, anywhere around this. Let me mark it here. This here. And the reason I'm looking at that, if that's not obvious, is that the last time it got under there, buyers showed up, right? So if we're bullish and we're fading, we should be playing the mean reversion game. The mean reversion game goes, it got too high, so it needs to come back to support. That's all mean reversion is overbought, oversold. So it's it got a little overbought, if you want to think about it that way. It does not mean it's going to reverse. It means it's going to come back and test buyers the last place they showed up, which was here. And that's exactly where they show up again. So this was a mean reversion trade, but it's in a uptrend. So it's a counter trend trade, low odds generally, unless you have a really, really good read, like a location or an algo symbol that I know works a lot. So then I get this star, and that star is it's mirroring this star. This star is going down, this star is going up, and if you mark off this wick here, and remember the wick for the stars is where all the volume is, okay? All the volume is in here. And what did they do during there? They sold, right? They sold, and they got destroyed, really beat. Not just tested beyond, but totally beat. So if they didn't use a stop, and they were short here, and they wanted lower, and now they're hurting. Guess what they're going to do when the market comes back and gets them an opportunity to get out break even? They're going to buy. I'm not going to guess that they buy. I'm not going to buy here. I'm going to wait until they buy and buy here. And it works. When you have pink bars that have triangles like this, if you get a pullback into this range, even if it's just a little bit like that, you can buy that too, as long as you're bullish. Okay. So here you have what looks like aggression to the short side here, but we did not get the color bar and we did not get an algo underneath it, no star, not even a divergence bar. We did get a red dot, but we're in trend day up at this point. So trading the counter trend trading with the dots in a trending market is going to you'll get destroyed. Like, you'll catch a couple of them, but sometimes you'll get absolutely destroyed. They're maybe 40% accurate when going counter trend. When you're in sideways, they work great. But you still get beat sometimes. Like this green one got beat because you were mostly going down. So you trust the red ones more. Well, now we're basically going up. So I'm primarily only interested in dots if they're green. And if they're red, what I'm actually doing is setting up trades for continuation when they get beat. Because what happens when they get beat like this, see how this white bar here, got the point of control above this red dot? In my book, that's a clear beat. It's not just getting beyond it with price. It is beat. Once that happens, what I want is for them to try to defend it and fail. So this red candle, red dot is an attempt, not defend it, to reclaim this area. They did that. Then I got a sign of strength, which was a speed bar. So now I can start thinking about getting long here. It's aggressive, but you could do it. Like that would be even better. That's a good spot to get long too. The triangle is really aggressive because you're at the very high of the day when that prints. I guess technically this is pretty aggressive too because it's high of the day. But technically, you could try to get long there. It's aggressive, but you could do it. And it works. It works a lot. Okay, it doesn't work every time, but it works a lot. Here's some absorption. See how the point of control line, it's, again, I'm sorry about you don't usually look at it this close to the right, but I don't want to show what happens next because I don't actually remember. And it kind of makes me biased if I see it. But if you watch the yellow line, you can see it comes out underneath here, and it made a V, an upside down V. So that means they absorbed here. And this is that same previous point of control, that red with the blue. It's a previous point of control that has a lot of volume in it. So it makes sense that we'd reject out of here. I can't short it. I don't have it set up. If it was orange, if this bar was orange, I could short it. I can't like this. If it looked like this, I could take a scalp. If we're in sideways markets or bearish markets, I can take this. If we're in bullish markets like this, I usually skip them, but they do work like 50% of the time. But a lot of times they get beat right away because we're so strong. The bull trend is so strong. So this is an example of why I don't fight this trend with lower odds. They're still decent odds, right? But not that high that they would signal the end of a trend. So you get another star. I'm not personally buying it. Someone buys this kind of aggression, even though, because you've got this blue dot here, which means someone sold down here, which makes sense because you had absorption here. So like, could it be a signal? It could be. It's just not a signal I use. Okay, there's my next scalp short, the orange here. So we came up after this. We got a triangle up on a pink bar and some absorption coming down. And the location is right. We're inside of this point of control. So this one I can short. Like I said, they don't always work in trend day up, but sometimes they do. And where am I? I'm targeting primarily 12 points. So this one would not have gotten to profit. Just missed it. It might go down some more. It just missed it. Once I see this red triangle get price above it, I am nervous if I am counter trend trading, because now we have to see a what's it called, a double top basically for this to work, and we made a higher low. So like if I'm watching this on the DOM and I see it start to reverse here after this red triangle, if I would have taken this, I probably scratched the trade like a pussy. Because I have a really, really, really hard time trading trend day up. It's just tough for me. And then usually what I end up doing is I miss the actual trade. And then this is reminding me that I'm a big pussy, because the red here after a red here on a lower high is a pretty aggressive seller. So like I don't really want to be shorting the breakdown in trend day up, but if I was short from here, I'm liking this. And it does extend and it does hit the target. What do you know? So that orange bar that I added is working even in trend day up. And that was the intention, that I wanted to distinguish the ones that worked a lot versus the absorptions that get beat a lot, but sometimes work. That's why I colored these orange and green. So the green color bars are the same thing in reverse. So I just added that study 2 days ago. So I'm not confident with it yet, but I am trying to take it and trade it. But I definitely get spooked when I shouldn't, because I don't know it well enough. And I see this V, which is the same as this in reverse, and I think, oh, we're absorbing, trend day up, get out. But what I'm hoping is that these orange bars rotate down again enough that I can trust them, and then I can leave that study as it is and just take the trade like I'm supposed to. So anyway, yeah, that's just me doing a little mental journaling. So red triangle got taken out by price and then continued lower. That's a little bearish. But red triangle down followed by a green dot in trend day up is a bullish scalp for me. So I can actually buy that. Does not get the profit and reverses. Nice. So the location in this case made that scalp not work. It ran into resistance. Usually red triangle down followed by green dot in a uptrend or a bullish market will continue. This one was just a poor location for that to happen. It ran into resistance. So the other thing to watch is that now that we have a green candle, if we can get a point of control on a non-purple bar to go below the green candle, we have the potential to reverse the trend. And so that's something to watch for. So far, we have not done that yet. Now we have. So this green candle here got traded below. And so in my book, let me just take this out so we don't have so many things to look at. In my book, that means that I can't really be buying dips until I get another green candle. Because right now, what they're probably going to do is reject out of this area if they come back to test it, because this aggressive buyer got beat, right? So I could short a retest, but I'm not going to be buying dips at this moment. Otherwise, it's just going to fall, and then turn with the green candle. Then I can look for a buy again. Yep. So there it is. Falls with the green candle, just like I said. So this is where you buy it, not up here. You don't just. And what I'm saying about beating the green candles, I'm not saying it's bearish. And I had to work this out in my head for a while. It doesn't mean that it's only going to go down. It means you don't want to buy based on location. You don't just want to just buy anywhere in here. Once you've beaten this green candle, you can only do that. You can only buy retraces again when you print a green candle that holds. So now this is a green candle and it's got a green color bar. So it means I can buy it. It's also coming back into this bar here, which was a sign of aggression. It traded under it and they found buyers, and it's absorbing. So that's a buy right off VWAP. White triangle confirms. You can, if you weren't sure about the green yet, you want to wait for the triangle, you can take the triangle. And it works. It's profit. I'd hold a runner, but I'm out of that trade. My core would be out of that trade. So look what happened. Green candle, right? I'm pointing to this range. This guy got beat. We traded down. We bounced off VWAP and into this range and found a seller. It makes sense to sell here if you think we've reversed, which sometimes we have. But it's not just going to go straight down. It's going to come back and retest this area if it's bearish now. And then it's going to go lower. So I'm fine selling this. Totally fine selling this. If you think it's trending up and it's going to totally obliterate it, just skip it because it's not a high odds target. But the location makes sense if you think we're going lower. Okay, triangle down confirms it, but it's on a purple bar. That could be a problem. That's telling me that it's dropping and people are aggressively shorting it, yet there are also buyers pulling their bids, which could be good. Like this one was fine. But if it immediately bounces back with a green dot, it's a buy. So let's see. Nope, continues, which is fine. So still bearish for the moment. Nice. Breaks through it. We got underneath this green, but we did not get point of control under it. I can draw a line. This line was here earlier because I drew it while I was trading. So that, or something nearby anyway, a similar concept. See how the yellow line did not get under the green line, which was the low of this candle. That means that the aggressive buyers, we traded under them and they absorbed back up. I would have preferred, if this had a star on it, I could buy it. It didn't have an algo, and it didn't touch the voodoo range level, like go beyond it and bounce. So I can't buy this. But if it's a triangle up, since this was a triangle up that got beat, I can look at that range and get long there. Again, trend day up is complicated. It's not usually this hard when it's sideways. So if I can get into that gray area, I can assume that we are bullish again, because even though we rejected under a green candle, and like up here, we got under a green candle and came back, tested its range and moved lower, that's all that means it's going to do. It does not mean it's going back to the low a day. It does not mean that the trend of the day is over. It means that it needs another green candle to hold like this before it can go higher. So the first time up, it's probably going to reject. And if it's still bullish, it's going to come back and it's going to find buyers in this range. It might trade under it, right? It's not a brick wall. But if it's bullish, buyers should show up here. If we continuously break green candles, like we've been continuously breaking red candles without coming back up, see how the red candles, same exact algo, just other direction. See how its range, here, let me draw it with this. See how its range gets tested, right? And then we bounce. Tested underneath this green candle, absorbed back up. If there's a triangle up in this gray area, I can buy it. You can't see it because of this line here. Let me take this. So this triangle counts. This triangle here breaks into here. We're getting into the range of this triangle that got taken out. It got thoroughly beat. Bearish candles with points of control below the low were printed. And yet they returned for more. But the way generally things work is when you get a system stopped out and it literally comes right back again and triggers like moments later, what that's telling me is that that participant is aggressively trying to get long. They tried it here and got stopped, and they did not give up. They did it again. Whatever their algo is looking at that I'm interpreting as a white triangle, they're printing one there, and then in the exact same area, they're printing another one, even though this one lost. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm not saying they're looking at the same algo I'm looking at, right? I'm saying the white triangle is my symbol that they are in the market. That might be a better way to say it. They're trading produces the white triangle, right? They obviously bought there and they got like potentially stopped out, or at least like went into losses, right? So their trade went red. Yet what did they do when it went red? They freaking hit it again. Do I have a sell? I don't think I do have a short here. It's not an orange bar. The red dot means you could, if you think this is sideways, which honestly it might be, right? You could probably say this whole range here is sideways here. And if it's sideways, then those red dots can be scalps, scalp shorts. So if you think it's sideways, it's no longer trending up. And honestly, look how far we are from the 3x VWAP line, right? And those little dots, that's value area high. 99% of volume for the last 3 days is like in there. So could you just reverse back down here? Yeah, probably. You did stop somebody out, right? It's not a horrible, and it's a good location. So I didn't think of the fact that it's a short. In fact, let's check and see what it looks like on the 24. I bet you anything this is a short on the 24 or the 20. Yep. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to go forward. It is. So I just realized the reason why we're not getting, see the orange bar? The reason why we're not getting signs of absorption here is because we're on the 30 tick, which is like, you'd need a 30-point stop, basically, potentially, to protect yourself if you're trading on this. I'm actually trading on this time frame, which is, all the symbols are the same, but this one we can go through them faster because it's a higher time frame. But it's the same thing. You can, if you look hard, it's exactly the same thing. Triangle up gets taken out, new triangle goes, right? Same thing. So it doesn't matter what time frame you're on, it'll still work. It's just not going to necessarily trigger in the exact same spots. And here we did not get the trigger to short in my book, but on the 24 you did, and on the 20 you got it even earlier with the star speed bar. So there were places to short, just not on this time frame. This is actually a short on this time frame. Oh, I don't want to grab all that. There we go. This one is a short on this time frame. You have lots of reasons to get short here. You have a red triangle that got stopped out, coming back with a red triangle. You have a star coming back into the area of a star. Lots of reasons to get short there. And it works. Where's my target in this situation? It's probably VWAP for my core. And then I'll see if I can hold some in case we make a lower low and bounce. So I would look back here for my target. My primary target would be back at 91. But VWAP is where it bounces. Makes sense. We get into the green candle. We can refer back to this candle here and see we got absorption here and more absorption here. So this is a buy for sure. You're right back into the same range with the exact same symbol. And again, once again, white triangle, it worked. And then they traded underneath it with price. And what did they do? They hammered it right back up again. They are not concerned at all that price traded under their signal. Right? They just hit it again. It's like, okay, give me more, right? Came back to my level. I bought it before. Serve me some more. That's what they're saying by putting in that triangle again right away after it, like in the very next bar after they traded under it. Whatever the triangle is, like whatever trader is trading with that same signal, like did the same thing. And then it tells me that because of the triangle. But their program produces this bar. You can think about it that way. And I interpret it as a white triangle. That system went red and they didn't puke. They bought it again. So that happens over and over and over again. Here's another key thing I keep harping on because I personally trade it this way. This white triangle is on a pink bar. So that means rather than get long here in this bar, I get long in here on the pullback, in the range of the bar. And it's the same exact range as this one, right? white triangle back into the range of an initial triangle that got stopped. Here's this one's in this range. So this I said it before, any triangles in this range that are pointing up are going to be good buys as long as it's bullish. You could have gotten long a little earlier than that, but by the time I see that white triangle lining up with the previous white triangle that got stopped out, I'm definitely taking it long. Okay, and then every time you get a pink bar followed by a white bar, you can buy a pullback, because this is sellers giving up basically, and then buyers pushing harder. It's just more signs of aggression. We broke right through this red dot and didn't even slow down because we've hit this so many times. I'm guessing that this range is now going to be defended heavily. That red range that looked like it was so strong overnight and this morning is now probably going to be support. Like that. Oh, look, it's exactly in the same spot, you guys. 14,069, exactly in the same spot as we marked here. Right? Exactly the same spot. Crazy. Unless I was there before and I just marked it, but I'm pretty sure we looked at that earlier this afternoon, or from last night. Exactly in the same spot. Okay, we get a star at the top. Not a great place for a star. The immediate information here is that this squeeze was really strong and we probably have to mean revert. Again, mean reversion does not necessarily mean going all the way back to the lows or all the way back to the open or all the way back to the VPOC or whatever. It might, but what it really means is we're going to go back to the same spot that someone got trapped and bought before. Where did the last person get trapped? In this range, right? We have a bunch of sellers back here selling in this range over and over and over again. I pointed it out earlier. That's like the 5th time it happened right here. So when you look what happened when it bounced here on the same spot we saw someone get short earlier, and then you get this, well, I'd expect them to go back and test that area. And they do. And they do. Okay, let's just erase this so we don't get confused. They come back, they test that exact spot, right? Same exact spot, and what do? They put in another star with a dot and a green candle. Like it. This is just a mirror of this. See them? So, okay. New trade idea I have not talked about much till today. A little bit complicated, but I want you to look at this. You've got an uptrend, right? And during the previous down rotation, you had a yellow star. Now you have a white star. You have a red bar, a red candle, sorry, the outline. Now you have a green one. You had a red dot. Now you have a green one. And it's in the same range. This guy shorted and got beat. If he's confident, what does he do? He retakes it, right? And we get another one just like it in the same spot. This time, like we talked about with the triangles, this time it's the opposite. He gets beat and he reverses, right? It doesn't matter what they mean. Just know that they mean the same thing every single time. And the green and the red are just inverse, right? Or in this case, the white triangle and the yellow triangle. The white star and the yellow star. They're just inverse. So whatever triggered the star here is triggering that same effect in the inverse here. And it's in the same exact spot. Like, it shouldn't really matter what they mean. If you start seeing that stuff, you can confident. Now, it's just a scalp, right? It doesn't mean it's going to high day right away. It just means the next rotation is probably up because the guy who shorted this pivot is hurting and giving up or reversing, more likely. Okay. And that makes sense. They just squeeze it higher, breaking this red one. Once they break it, they put in a little bit of absorption. That's why there's an upside down V here. So it's going to have to retrace. Where is it going to retrace to? Probably wherever someone got stuck, right? This one's been pretty thoroughly checked out. So maybe this triangle makes sense. Or it just comes here and bounces because this guy pushed pretty hard and this triangle down pushed pretty hard. Once again, red triangle down followed by green dot in 2 consecutive candles is usually a really good scalp. And if it's bullish, if you're playing with the trend, it's a pretty good scalp. That red triangle showed someone pushed really hard down here, and then the green dot says maybe next time. So absorption up on top. I'm not personally shorting it. We're beyond the 3x VWAP line now. It doesn't mean it's not the high. It is extensively above where we would expect them to squeeze to. This is yesterday's regular trading hours point of control. That should be a magnet. We haven't hit it yet. But that's probably where they're trying to get, but it doesn't mean they get there in a straight line, right? Okay, come back to the triangle range, go through the triangle range, get into that previous green pivot, go through the green pivot. Nice. Okay. Where are they looking now? Here, right? And here. And the blue dots is the current, what's it called? The point of control that's being like, what is it called? The ongoing or whatever point of control. Developing. Sorry, I couldn't think of that word. Developing point of control. So it comes back to the developing point of control, back into this previous pivot. So star bar up would get me long. Doesn't happen. All right. So this is a green dot, but there's no triangle here. It is a speed bar, but I have no down speed bar over here in the previous down to take it. So this is not a long for me. It probably is for somebody, just not for me. That triangle, I'm looking to see if a triangle got stopped out in that area. It would have to be right here, and I don't see one, so no. No trade for me. If I was going to trade it, it'd be on this retrace, which happens a lot after pink bars with white triangles. Okay, and it just lifts. So, yeah, this time it just lifts. And like I said, I'm not catching every single trade, right? Sometimes my strict rules mean I miss some trades, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. All right, so we have a speed bar with a red dot and a red triangle. I mean, a red candle. No red triangle yet. This one's mirroring this, but it's not underneath its low. So I don't have an entry here either. Okay, it probably is good enough for a scalp. I just don't have a reason to take it. Okay, this is speed bar back into speed bar. This is definitely playable. You have a blue bar that's like bouncing off of a previous blue bar with a purple power bar on it. So this is basically just a higher low that got defended. So this one I'm much more comfortable buying than this one. Just because I know the metrics on it. And if I didn't buy it there, I'd buy it on the next pullback right there. I'd end up buying this pretty confidently, unless this is a short. No, it's not. Wait, it might be. If you think we're in a downtrend, we have a mirror here because this got lower than this. So I guess if I didn't buy the speed bar and I saw this and then I saw this, this is a mirror to the downside. So it's probably not a long. Well, I should say it's probably not going to work. It's not really good enough for a short though because I don't see a downtrend. So it does trade underneath and then, oh, it sets up again right here. So speed bar got stopped out by price, came right back with a speed bar. This is like, if you didn't take this, you have to take this every time. I do. If I miss this trade, I have to take this. If I took this trade, I'm supposed to take this again. When it happens, it's the exact same thing I've been saying all night. When it happens once and price goes beyond it and they start to lose and they come back up and they retake it with the exact same symbol, like that symbol is representing that somebody is aggressively re-entering. Yeah, that makes sense. So that scalp, I probably, if I didn't get it, it's because it didn't set up on a shorter time frame, but it did. It was triangle. It was us just star into star. I did take that. So this star got taken out by price, comes right back in with a green star. Easy. I mean, a white star. Easy buy. I'm not really watching these, but this is where my actual trades are setting up because I'm trading on a smaller time frame. So like this is a short for me, for instance. On this time frame that I'm reviewing, just because I don't want to spend like 5 hours going over every single rotation. This one does not get beyond the star and does not produce a orange. Doesn't have enough volume to produce the orange candle, but it does look like absorption. So it probably is a good short, and it's set up on the 20. Oh, and it actually fails. So that's a reason to get right out of it. they were absorbing the buying, and then price went down, and it like this green bar in the middle of nowhere, like this, especially bouncing off of this previous resistance. That like they didn't even have a pivot, and they're still trapping shorts like that. You have to buy that. Yeah, yeah. You can I would right up reverse that. So here on the smaller time frame, if in case you're curious how this works here, I get short here. I'd see the red triangle and see that it was on a purple bar and immediately get a little nervous, right? And most likely, if I see this green bar go into this green star, I'm just going to reverse. And if I didn't reverse, I can buy this triangle because it was blue dot white triangle, which is a valid entry. So I'm basically reversing here right before it stops me. So you do kind of have to be ready. If you're going to take the counter trend trades like that, you have to be ready to like shift gears back into being with the trend. And that is something some people just don't do very well. And if you don't do very well with that, just skip those. Skip the shorts when you know or you're confident that it looks like a long trend day up. Just skip the shorts and you'll do fine. Okay, we do trade through previous point of control. Once again, we put a star bar up on the top, a little bit dangerous, but not until we get under it. They just rip right through it. Like there's not a lot of great ways to get into this on this time frame. On a shorter time frame like the 16, you can probably find a trap seller and get in. But with this, you just kind of have to hang on for dear life. Okay, that's technically my first short signal. It's underneath the 3 times VWAP line, so I can take it. I don't know if it's going to work. Actually, I think I did take it, and if it is the one I took, it did work. No, it's not the one I took because it didn't show up on the 20. And it doesn't work very well. We get another V for absorption, but no long on this. But you did get it on the 20. You got the long there. Okay, it just keeps going higher. This is just how trend day up works. Every time you try to fight it, you get beat. You should have something like the 3x VWAP line to keep you from doing that. Helps me a lot. I still end up getting beat sometimes, but it gets me out of a lot of stupid trades. Trying to see if we have anything going on here. Not really yet, but that green bar way at the top is vulnerable if we get under it. Got to get a POC under it, which we can't. That's another buy. It's hard to see, but you got absorption on a purple candle with a red triangle down with another speed bar up. You can just keep buying that. Is it not going to work again? No, it works. Yeah, it works. You can buy it here, I guess. It's a little bit, it's awfully dangerous, but you could buy it here too. Yeah, and it works. Okay, it doesn't work. Looked like it might. Stopping on a triangle. If we get a new triangle, it'll be up. And I did not have a short there. Did not have a short. On this one. I might have on the 20. I'm not going to look. It's getting late. Comes all the way back to VPOC and bounces. A little bit of absorption here, but no buy signal as far as I can tell. It did not stop this out. That just goes. This triangle technically got stopped out and came back in with a new triangle. I don't think I would have caught that in this time frame. We get some absorption of buy orders, and it's saying we're probably going to go lower. You get a red triangle on a purple bar, and that bounces. Like it's just the same patterns over and over again. Triangle dot up. Okay, this is technically a short. It's not at the apex, but it's interesting that we didn't make it back to the 3x VWAP line. So I'm pretty. This might have been the one I took. The one I took worked. No, it did not soar up on the 20 tick. So I did not take that one, thankfully. Just got totally obliterated. And is that That is not a setup on this, not on this time frame. That's a buy though. Red triangle down, green dot. That's another buy. So even if you lost like one or two, even if you tried to fight it, as long as you catch the dips, you get paid. Like I did okay. I had an okay day, but my win rate is just not as good when it's trending up. It's just harder. You end up fighting with yourself. Yeah, way too high into 3x view out for me to take this short, although it does look pretty. And there's no white triangles up there to beat, unfortunately. But there is a white star. Okay, that makes sense. This would normally be a buy. But like I said, I think I remember taking it and losing. And it just rolls over from here. On a shorter time frame, you did have a short that Simon took here. So there was a short here you could have taken, but like I said, it just didn't set up quite right on the higher time frame. And then that's the end. So currently we are trading there. The one other thing I'll point out is that we did trade under a green candle and then came back to retrace that, that range, which is actually there's two green candles in a row. So this is a setup that I'm trying to figure out how to signal. But the idea is once you've gotten POC below it and you come back up, I need to remember not to buy this buy signal and instead take the short, because it's almost always going to give me a buy signal here, but I shouldn't be taking it because we've recently beat a green candle and it makes sense to come back in and test that range. So like I said, I'm trying to figure that out. It's a little complicated on Sierra charts how to program that to tell me not to take this as the long and instead to short it, maybe on the red triangle. But work in progress for now. I'm just trying to catch them with my eyes, but I do miss them. So that is how I do the review. It took a little bit longer than I wanted, but you can sort of see that, as I mentioned before, there were plenty of opportunities to get long. There were a couple short scalps, but you would have been just fine if you noticed early on that this was bullish. So you just stop taking the sells, right? Like that does work. When it's trending up, just don't take the sell orders. So hopefully this was helpful. I know some of it's kind of in depth and confusing, but if it was helpful, let me know and I can do more of these.